Hey everyone, this is Philip Moore from Gizmo Data. I want to take you through something I'm really excited about, which is the new GizmoSQL iOS app available on the Apple App Store as of this week. It is an iOS representation of GizmoSQL. Gizmo Data's powerful database engine software powered by DuckDB and Apache Aeroflight SQL. And when you put those two technologies together, you get an enterprise database server that's capable of handling multiple user workloads at the same time and is powered by DuckDB, so you get amazing OLAP performance on a single node, rivaling other distributed database technologies like Snowflake or Databricks and so on at a much better price point. So GizmoSQL is being used by several customers already in production, but what I wanted to do with this app is to make an easy way to get in and use GizmoSQL for learning purposes, for demos, for development, and prototyping. And I figured what better way than to do that than to actually build an iOS app that lets you run the same engine. And because the code is written in C++, you can actually compile a C API that can be used in an iOS app and can be used by a variety of other languages like Go and so forth. So it's very flexible, the GizmoSQL library. So we've baked it into the iOS app here, and let's go ahead and jump in and demo what this is capable of. So I've got the app right here on the iPhone. I've got iPhone mirroring on, so this is actually my device, which is an iPhone 16 Pro Max. And so I'll start the app up here, and when it comes up, you'll notice the server is stopped. And before we start it, we need to go to do some settings. So I'll go ahead and do demo video.db, and it's going to run on port 31337. We're going to use the DuckDB engine. GizmoSQL is our GizmoSQL user will be our admin username, and we've made the password Joe so that clients can connect with that. And we're going to print the queries as they come in to the log. We're going to run at info log level with the text-based format. You can choose JSON if you prefer. And you can actually put some init SQL commands here. And then it's going to use a TLS certificate to encrypt the traffic to and fro from the phone to its clients. We're running version 1.1.2 in the about here, and you can have there's a handy link to the GizmoSQL repo in GitHub. It is an open source repo with Apache 2.0 license if you use the core edition, which is what the iOS device uses. There's also an enterprise edition available for customers that want enterprise security, enterprise logging, single sign-on, the ability to kill sessions, and instrumentation of all your workloads. So contact Gizmo's Data Sales if you want more information about that. All right, so we've got our settings in play, and we're going to go ahead and start our server. So the server is now running, and you'll notice it's running at 192.168.4.38. So it is running only on our local network. You can't actually connect to it from outside the network, and that's by design. We don't want to open up your phone to the entire world. We're just opening it up to devices on your local Wi-Fi network. So it is running at 192.168.4.38 on port 31337. But before we connect from a client other than the phone, we'll actually go to the phone itself. And on here, if I say .tables, you'll notice I don't have any tables right now, but I can create a table, and I can insert, bear with me here, I can create a row, and I can say from table or from Joe, and you'll see I have that row in there. So very basic like SQL connectivity here. The keyboard in the mirroring app is a little sensitive, so it doesn't let me type some things very clearly sometimes. So that's the basic query interactivity. And if I go to the data browser, you see here first it starts at the database level, and once I go in there I have the schema, and then once I'm in there I have Joe, which is a base table. And finally, if you click on Joe, you see the columns, and you have the ability to drop the table, and you can preview data. And you see there's just one row with a value of 1, 2, 3 in the A column. So you have a data browser, a schema browser, if you will. You also have logs here, so as you connect and run things, you can actually see the activity of the server, and you can see when it started and all the client connectivity and so forth. So let's go ahead now and connect from my laptop. So I've got a terminal, macOS terminal open here, and I've got a prefab command, GizmoSQL client. I'm going to connect to 192.168.4.38, which is this phone, port 31337. I'm going to enable TLS so I have encrypted traffic. And I'm going to skip verification because it is a self-signed certificate on the phone. And finally, I'm going to put username as GizmoSQL user. So once I hit enter, it prompts me for the password. And remember, we set that to Joe. So I just type Joe in there. And hopefully we will connect, and we do. And if I do .tables here, you can see I have the Joe table. And it also gives you the handy schema, and which is main, and then the catalog, which is demo video. And that's the name of our database file, right? So while I'm in here, I'm actually going to create some more data. So I'll say call. Here, I'll say call and dbgen sf equals 1. And when I do this, it's going to, bear with me here. I forgot the 1. So it's going to generate a TPCH data set with a scale factor 1 gigabyte. And so it's going to create those tables that we're used to from TPCH. And so now if I do .tables, you can see we have the line item table, the orders table, the region table, and so forth. And so if I say from region here, you can see the data from the region table. Now this is all running from my phone. My phone is the database server. So if I go to logs here and I rerun that query, you can see the log proceed every time I run something, right? So it's a very powerful database server. So I can actually say select count star from line item. And you can see there's 6 million rows in the line item table. So it is not a trivial amount of data. It's actually quite large, and it runs just fine on my iPhone, which is amazing to me. Like, it's the compute power of modern iOS devices. And so when I ran that query, you should see down here, like there's that select count star from line item, the command successfully executed, and so forth. So you get the same logging that you get on a real GizmoSQL server running on Linux or Mac OS and so forth. So I've connected from a CLI client from the terminal, but some folks don't prefer CLI. They want to run like a user interface, a UI. So let's go ahead and disconnect here. We'll exit out of the terminal, and you can see that the client session successfully closed on the phone. And so we'll go run the GizmoSQL UI. And I'll bring my browser over here. And so now we have a browser-based app. And I'll scooch my phone. That's a technical term, scooch. And I will, I've connected my phone already, but I'll reconnect just so you can see here. So I've got a prefabbed connection set up for the phone. And it is 192.168.4.38 and 31337. I've saved the password, I've enabled TLS, and I skip verification just like I did in the CLI. And I hit connect, and you can see a session is established. And if I expand the phone here, you should see its catalog, which is demo video. And I expand the catalog, and I should see its schemas. And then finally see the tables. And so if I click on the table, I'll see the columns down here, and I can expand this and get a bigger view, get a preview of the data, and get a definition of the table. Right. So it's a full-fledged database server, and you have pretty much all the capabilities of GizmoSQL Core at your disposal. And even you can do Duck Lake. So if you're familiar with Duck Lake, you can actually connect to your data lake from your iPhone. Because we pre-bake in the Duck Lake extension and the HTTPFS extension so that you can connect to your Duck Lake metadata catalog in Postgres. We actually have the Postgres extension is there as well. And then read from cloud storage from S3 to get your Parquet data files. And so you have full Duck Lake compatibility here. We don't have an Azure extension in here, but you can use an S3 or Cloudflare R2 storage just fine. So anyway, I've got the cell open here. I'm connected to the iPhone, and if I select count star from line item and hit run, you can see that ran pretty quickly, and you see the stuff on the phone proceeds. And to get an idea here of how some of the queries can perform, I'll grab query TPCH01, which is a famous query here. And it's so a bigger query, and you can see it run on the log here. And if I scroll down, you can see the results here, the 4 rows, and it runs rather quickly. So if I'll have to disable that somehow. I'll rerun it here, and you can see it runs within just a second or two, less than 1 second, 840 milliseconds. And you can do more advanced queries. Obviously, you could do joins and so forth. So if I grab query 3, I'm looking at my other monitor, and paste that in there, we'll run query 3. And you can see that ran in about almost 4 seconds, but on a gigabyte of data. So it's quite a large data set for an iPhone, and it just does just fine thanks to the power of the DuckDB SQL engine. So let's also, we will connect a duck lake. So let's get extra crazy here. And I've already had a prefabbed persistent secret that's on the phone. So I will attach a duck lake here. I'll attempt to. All right, so that did succeed. And so now if I expand the phone, I should see multiple catalogs, and indeed I do. So I've connected a duck lake here, and if I expand that, I should see within there I've got a table called region and NL train stations. So if I say select star from NL, I'll have to say my duck lake .main.nl train stations. I'm actually querying that live, so it hit the Postgres to get the metadata about the table, and then it actually hit the cloud storage in real time. So you have the full HTTPFS extension and full Duck Lake 1.0 compatibility. So I think this is a pretty cool little demo of the iOS app. It is available on the App Store if you want to learn more about it. It is $4.99. I really appreciate it if you would check it out. So if you go to App Store here, and you go and search for GizmoSQL, and sure enough, there it is, and it gives you some details about it, what's new in this version, some screenshots, and so on and so forth. And then finally, if you want to learn more about GizmoSQL outside of the iOS app, go to gizmodata.com/GizmoSQL, and it'll take you through here some of the benefits of GizmoSQL. Like it's a very powerful engine, not just for iPhones, but you can run this on very large cloud virtual machines that have a lot of CPU and memory, and you can take full advantage of it. So we're talking running terabyte scale workloads and for very low cost. So on the hardware cost for cloud, to run the TPCH 1 terabyte benchmark costs 17 cents. That's unheard of compared to some of the other engines like Snowflake or Databricks or Oracle or whatever. You can actually connect and do a live demo, or you'll run on Gizmo Data hardware in the cloud. You can compare editions, go to the GitHub repo, see the documentation, see the frequently asked questions, and so forth. So we talk about some of the benefits here, GizmoSQL obviously, the benchmark comparisons, ease of integrations. We have a ton of integrations, JDBC driver, ADBC, ODBC, a DBT adapter, so you can actually run DBT on your iPhone if you want to, against a database on your iPhone. So it's a very powerful engine. It's gaining steam. Other companies are jumping in and using it. Summation's using it to a large degree. Randoli, some others that are coming along. So really excited about it. There's also a link here to the App Store version of the app. Here's the repo. It is open source. It is a public repo. You can see all the code for what you're running on the phone or when you're running GizmoSQL locally or in the Kubernetes. All the code is here. And that's about it. So I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully this is helpful and gives you some more understanding of what GizmoSQL is capable of. And really jump in and try out this iOS app. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.